All right. Number 12. So 12th overall, Jeremy Lamb, shooting guard out of UConn, gets drafted by the Rockets. Shortly after this, he is traded to OKC in the James Harden trade. He's currently retired, just retired this past offseason after a stint with the the Stockton Kings of the G League. I got a good story about Jeremy Lamb here as well, but tell me who you picked 12th overall.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons I was agreeing with you, Terrence Ross, because I took Terrence Ross here. I think
All right.
maybe Houston's not the right situation, but if he gets put into that Oklahoma City trade and he gets to play with KD and Westbrook, that's a pretty good situation for Terrence Ross, where he's not he's probably the third or fourth or fifth guy on that team, right? And I think that's probably good for him, where he just has to score, and he sees a guy like KD doing, like, scoring at all levels. He sees Westbrook scoring at all levels. That's just an element he adds to his game. He uses athleticism, and yeah, I think that's a much better spot for Terrence Ross than Orlando and Toronto, where he ended up. So I think, yeah, elite score. Like, I think he would have been an elite scorer on the OKC Thunder. Like, I think he would have replaced a lot of Harden's volume that they missed in OKC. Like, I think
Yeah.
Terrence Ross could have done that. Yeah.
And they tried, right, with Kevin Martin and Jeremy Lamb. Didn't quite work out with them. So again, before I give my pick, I will tell my my Jeremy Lamb story. So he is the second player in this draft that I met in strange circumstances. So I was coming home from a business trip in the Sacramento airport, and him and the rest of the Stockton Kings, who, if folks don't know, the G League players, they fly Southwest generally, or they fly commercial at the very least. They're definitely not flying on the private plane. There was a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, my sister-in-law sent me a picture of the Santa Cruz Warriors at San Jose Airport. And this was when they had a bunch of the like siblings of current NBA players. So that was the Seth Curry, DeMarcus Cousins' brother, I don't remember his name, and Klay Thompson's brother. So it was like this really weird image of the Santa Cruz Warriors as like the bizarro Golden State Warriors, because it was a lot of the same dudes, or at least like the siblings. But anyway, so I'm on this tram coming from one of the terminals in Southwest or in Sacramento back to baggage claim, and I'm surrounded by these giant basketball players. I'm pretty sure these are the Stockton Kings. They're not like wearing gear or anything, and he is the most recognizable player out of them. So we end up standing like next to each other, holding like the pole in the tram. I look at him, I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man? You're Jeremy Lamb, right?" And he's like, dressed like an NBA player. Looks like Russell Westbrook coming down the catwalk. His nails are painted. I'm like, this is not just some regular dude. And he looks at me dead in the eye and he goes, "No, bro. I'm not asking you for a picture. I'm not like fanboying over you. I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? You're Jeremy Lamb, right?" Like I thought we'd have like a very normal human interaction, which is usually how it goes, right? I don't know if you've run into celebrities or athletes in like a weird situation, but like, have you at any point?
I sold Debo Samuel a PS5.
Okay, and I'm sure he was very normal during the interaction, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's not like I interrupted his meal. He wasn't out with his girl like at a restaurant or like in the bathroom. People talk about that. Like people go up to athletes in the bathroom and ask them for a picture. I wasn't asking for Jeremy Lamb for a picture. I'm not that starstruck. I just said, "What's up, man? Are you Jeremy Lamb?" And he says, "No." And he kind of like laughs and looks at
And
his teammates like,
I mean, there's a reason the bro's on the Stockton Kings. That's what I would have said to him. I was like, bro, you're Jeremy Lamb on the Stockton Kings. Like, let's calm down.
"No,
You're
man,
not.
like I'm not trying to disrespect the guy either. Like it was just like I'm pretty sure that's
You were
who
just
I
trying to
think
say
it
what's
is."
up. You were just trying to say what's up.
Very simple. He's also known for dating the owner's daughter. I forget her name, Vivek's daughter, who was also the GM of the Stockton Kings at some point. So I think that had something to do with why he retired. Very messy. A lot of drama. I don't know if you've been following that story at all, but it was big here.
No, I'm
In
not. But
Yeah, it
I'm
was.
sure it's gonna be a Netflix series sometime soon.
I'll send you some links after, but it got messy. A lot of people were talking about it on the Sacktown Sports Radio out here and stuff. So anyway, that was a very long story about a player that was not that good. So again, I was picking for OKC with that in mind. So I picked Michael Kidd Gilchrist, who I think would have fit OKC. He's a pretty good, maybe great defensive player, just never figured out how to shoot the ball from more than, I don't know, 8 feet out. I think he would have made sense on this team. He's a lengthy, rangy, versatile defender. This was already a lengthy, rangy, versatile defensive team. I think he would have made a lot of sense, maybe as a backup to Thabo Cephalosha. It's a tongue twister right there. But I think he would have made sense on OKC. He doesn't spread the floor or anything like that, but he does bring another level of athleticism and rim running and all that stuff. So what do you think? Did you have him in your top 14? I guess we'll find out.
You'll find out, but man, MKG, I was a big fan when he was coming out. I was like, bro, this guy is gonna be amazing. He's athleticism off the charts. He's gonna crush the NBA, right? Didn't quite
Sean
happen.
Marion
Like,
2.0 kind of thing.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, he can't shoot, but bro, he can be Sean Marion at the least. He'll figure out his shot, and then like he does that little, you know,
Yeah, it's funky.
Lonzo Ball kind of shooting motion. I'm like, God damn. And when I saw him shoot, I was like, man, maybe not. I love MKG, and I think he could have been a difference maker for the Thunder when let's say he was still on the Thunder, and they're trying to stop Game 6 Clay right back in 2016. So that could have been a guy that could have stopped Game 6 Clay if he developed the way he was supposed to into an elite defender.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm a big MKG fan, but I got clowned on by my boy. He'd be like, bro, MKG, what a bust! Like that's the only thing he has to hold over me is I was in on MKG and MKG was a bust. So
Listen, nobody goes 100% on our takes, so we got to take the L's sometimes. But yeah, Jeremy Lamb, not a nice guy. If you ever see him, do not engage. All right, this player, I legitimately had to ask myself, who the hell is this? I did not remember him off top. The Phoenix Suns used the 13th overall pick on point guard Kendall Marshall out of North Carolina. A lot of repeats in this top 14. Two guys from North Carolina, a couple guys from UConn. Anyway, drafted by the Suns, he is currently retired. So who did you have the Suns picking 13?
yeah, I can't believe you didn't remember Kendall Marshall, man. He was killing it his rookie year, but after that he was no bueno. I mean, he also looked like by the time he was like his second or third year in the league, he looked like he was ready to retire. Like he looked like he was like 40 years old by the time he's like 3 years into the league. Anyways, I went Jeremy Lamb here. Slim pickings here. I think Phoenix could have used someone who could be a kind of scorer. I think they tried to sign Eric Gordon this offseason too, and then like he was a restricted free agent, so the Hornets matched, things like that. So they're looking for a guy who could score. And I guess Jeremy Lamb can do that. He's like a 10-point per game for his career. He just didn't have the right situations. Maybe he doesn't have the right personality. Maybe to fit into NBA. Maybe that's it too. So I don't know. Yeah, I think just less pressure on the guy. Maybe he turns out to be a decent scorer here for the Suns and a future starter.
I think this is only the second time we agree or we aligned. I also had them picking Jeremy Lamb. He ended up playing in the league for 10 years, which I did not think that he stuck around for that long. So credit to him. He was on 4 different teams, OKC, Stockton, sorry, not Stockton, well, Stockton too, but Sacramento, Indy, and Charlotte. So 4 teams, 10 years, not bad. Yeah, he did. There was like the best version of Jeremy Lamb was a dead-eye shooter. I remember him hitting very, very vividly remember him hitting like a 3/4 court game winner. So when he was on, he was a great shooter. I think his career, so I like to look it up. His career 3-point percentage is only 34%, but I feel like he was capable of 40%, and he actually did shoot 40% in 2020 with the Pacers. So the best version of him is probably a top 30, top 40 player in the NBA, maybe something like that. Yeah, slim pickings here, but I do think he did have a better career than Kendall Marshall, and he did stick around longer. Maybe it was a personality thing that kept him from being a really good player versus a solid journeyman that stuck around for 10 years. All right, the last pick of the lottery, John Henson out of North Carolina. This is the third guy from the Tar Heels to go in the top 14 here after Harrison Barnes and Kendall Marshall. He's drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks, and he is currently retired. I really like this guy for some reason. I always thought I don't know what it was, something about him, but I liked him as a player. Never quite fulfilled his promise, but anyway, who did you have the Bucks taking 14th?
Yeah, this is where I went Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Again, like we talked about, right? He's a physical freak, super athletic, just couldn't figure out how to shoot. And I thought he could have had a career trajectory like Draymond did, but I think he had to be surrounded by the right people. So I think here, in Milwaukee, they probably turn his like focus towards the defense, like, hey, become this kind of elite defender. Maybe he pans out more like a Tony Allen type, right? Tony Allen, elite defender, just couldn't shoot for his life of him. Like You saw what the Warriors the Warriors basically ran Tony Allen out of the league. Maybe that happens to MKG still too. But he was still playing. I think actually what forced him into retirement, he had some sort of heart condition or something like that. So I think
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
he had something. He was some a super weird story, and he like sues the team or something weird happened with him. But yeah, I think he could have been an elite defender out of all of this, and so I think that's still worth a lottery pick to me. And I think the Bucks rolled the dice on him. Pair him with a guy like Giannis, maybe you're not a lot of shooting, but maybe man, you could be shutting some teams down.
So I went back and I looked at this 2012 Bucks team. It was a very strange team. I mean, leading the team in minutes, Monte Ellis, Brandon Jennings, AJ Redick, Ersan Ilyasova, Larry Sanders, Luke Mbah. Oh, and Mike Dunleavy, current GM for the Warriors. They go 38-44. I believe they make the playoffs, which was very strange, but finished third in the division. They did not make the playoffs. Oh, they did make the playoffs, and they got swept by the Heat. So a very strange team. And I added a little bit of strangeness to them. I picked Dion Waiters. I thought he made sense as a another combo guard coming off the bench. They probably would have preferred somebody with a little bit of size, but I'm just like looking up and down this roster, and it's a bunch of guys that are not very good NBA players, but guys that I just loved. Love Monte. I loved Ilyasova. I've made that very clear in our multiple redrafts and pods that for some reason, just one of those like just guys that I really liked watching. You know, always led the league in charges taken and all that stuff. But yeah, throw Dion Waiters in this mix. Let's get really weird. Let's have a backcourt. Like, just imagine a backcourt of Monte and Dion, or Brandon Jennings and Dion Waiters. I thought about Austin Rivers here.
Oof.
It would have been fun, right? It would have been just a little chaotic,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
I mean, and throw Larry Sanders in the mix. He was kind of he was a good player, but he was also kind of a head case a bit. Yeah, I think
Yeah, he was a
yeah.
great
So
player.
he
I
was a
think
good
he just
player. I think he just had some like issues with like mental health issues, right? I think eventually, and he just took himself out of that situation. But he was really good. I think that's one of the reasons they actually end up making the playoffs that year, right? And I don't know why they draft John Henson with Larry Sanders there, but he starts getting into trouble, and then Brendan Jennings never liked his game. Yeah, it would have been a really weird team and like how they scored. They just have scores and they have nothing else. And like Larry Sanders was like the main defender, and that was it. Like they're like Larry Sanders, zone one middle. That's it. That's what you got to do. Like that's
and
what
I
they were
mean,
playing.
yeah. And speaking of Larry Sanders, he was actually a seventh in the Defensive Player of the Year voting that year. So I'm looking at his basketball reference page. I remember there was a point where he was going to make a comeback. I think after the 2016 or 17 season, there was rumors about the Warriors taking a chance on him and didn't end up working out. But just yeah, one of those guys that like had all the physical tools, but just did not have the mental capacity, capability. I don't know what word you want to use to like handle the rigors of being a professional athlete and being an NBA athlete. I want to say he smoked a lot of weed, but I don't think they test for weed in the NBA. Do you know if they do?
I don't maybe selectively. Maybe selectively test.
I feel like I looked it up a few years ago. It's like, does the NBA drug test for weed? And it says they do, but I don't remember anyone ever getting suspended for it. I want to say Tyreek Evans or OJ Mayo, one of those two guys got suspended for doing cocaine, but the NBA has like a weird
Say
history
yeah.
with cocaine
Yeah,
and
I
yeah.
I think I think it was OJ Mayo and Tyree got caught both cocaine, but like
Yeah.
they never. I don't think maybe they test for it, but like, come on, let's be real. I'm pretty sure 90% of the NBA is smoking weed. Like, let's be
Yeah,
real.
I mean, Kevin Durant always talks about how I mean, he smokes, he looks high as shit in a bunch of interviews that he does, usually in the off season. And it's legal in, I don't know, half the states in the country. So it's a waste of time if they do. But we've digressed quite a bit here. Yeah, Dion Waiters, let's get weird. Again, I thought about Austin Rivers. Did you think about any of the undrafted guys? I think the two best undrafted guys were Kent Bazemore, solid journeyman career, and Jermichael Green, another guy who had a pretty decent journeyman career. But did you think about any of those other guys?
Yeah, that was it. Those are the two guys, Austin Rivers, and then maybe Festus Ezeli. That was about it. Those are the honorable mentions for me, I think. Yeah. Kent Bazemore, like man, the career he had from undrafted to getting paid millions of dollars by the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, he turned himself. He made some money for himself. Solid career, not nothing special, but like solid starter. On the Hawks and wherever else. I think he bounced around after the Hawks a bit. And then yeah, Michael Green, another guy, solid role player, starter. Festus Ezeli. I think if Festus Ezeli didn't have that knee problem, he's probably higher up on like he's probably a lottery pick. because he was showing that potential for sure.
Yeah, I'll never forgive him for that foul on LeBron up three in the, they're probably up four, but yeah, the foul on LeBron in game seven of the 2016 NBA Finals. Nice guy. But there was, you know what? There was another name that kept popping up in like the box score plus minus, the value over replacement player, win shares plus 48, and that was Kyle O'Quinn. Did you think about him at all?
Yeah, I I was like, I'm surprised he's popping up in these advanced metrics, but like when you look at his career metrics, like he barely scores 6 points, barely has 5 rebounds. I'm like, why is he popping up? And then he's probably on some really good teams. That's probably why he's popping up on some of these advanced metrics because he.
But he wasn't. I mean, he was on Philly for a little bit. He just looked like a Philly Ock with his beard and the bald head. Uh, and he was on the Knicks for a while.
That's right.
So it
Like,
was
yeah, it's weird to see him pop up. Like I was like legit surprised that on his like win shares he was like pretty like decently high in this draft. Like and on his like warp he was decently high in this draft. I'm like, what is Kyle Quinn doing here? I looked at him and I was like, should I put him in here? But then I'm like looking at his like career numbers. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like I guess he's just a statistical anomaly. I guess.
he's one of my favorite like genre of role players where it's like he's that tweener big man that has no real offensive game but gets rebounds, plays hard defense. These guys are, dime a dozen. You think about even in this draft, you think about like him, Quincy AC, a couple other guys that just they don't have much of a skill set, but the fact that they just try really hard is enough of a skill set to succeed in the NBA where they can stick around long enough and end up playing in the NBA for 8, 10 years or whatever it is. So yeah, it was very strange seeing him up there, and he didn't make the cut for me, but I thought about him for a little while. Same with like Jamichael Green, same thing, like same idea of hustle guy that can make a difference on a good team, but isn't going to do much on a bad team. All
Exactly,
right,
and
so
that's what most of those guys are on in this draft.
yeah, this was again when I texted you about it. What came to mind was Anthony Davis, Draymond, Dame Lillard. They were just top of mind for whatever reason. I was like, let's do 2012, and then once we committed to it, I was like, oh, this is a dog shit draft after the top 4 or 5. But it made it a little more fun because we disagreed quite a bit on a lot of our picks. So let us know what you guys think. I know this is not the best draft, but some intrigue, I think, at the top of who you guys would have picked, Dame or Draymond or Harrison Barnes or Andre Drummond, and what they would have looked like on their different teams.